the lecture number 5 of biopharmaceutics and pharmacokinetic, and the topic for today's lecture is factors influencing the drug absorption through GIT. Okay, this lecture is in continuation with the lecture number 4. In the previous lecture I have discussed about the I have discussed about the solubility and the dissolution and the theories related to the drug dissolution. Okay. So, in this lecture I will continue with the next parameter, that is the particle size and effective surface area. Okay. See, this particle size and surface area are inversely related to each other. Okay. Smaller will be the drug particle, greater will be the surface area. So, there are two types of surface area. First is the absolute surface area and second one is the effective surface area. Okay. Now, what do you mean by absolute surface area? This absolute surface area is the total area of the solid surface of any particle. Okay. Absolute surface area is the total area of the drug particle. And what is the effective surface area? What do you mean by effective surface area? As the name indicate, this effective surface area is the surface area that is in the contact with the dissolution medium or that is getting exposed to the dissolution medium. Okay. So, as I have told you about the modified Noyes and Whitney equation in the previous lecture. So, according to the modified Noyes and Whitney equation, the rate of drug dissolution is equal to the dAk m by W upon Vh to Cgit minus C. Okay. So, this is the modified Noyes and Whitney equation. Okay. And it is clear that it is clear from the Noyes and Whitney equation, modified Noyes and Whitney equation, that if greater will be the surface area, higher will be the dissolution rate. Okay. Rate of drug dissolution is equal to the dAk m by W upon Vh. Okay. Means the larger will be the surface area, higher will be the dissolution rate. Okay. And we can increase the surface area. How we can increase the surface area? By doing the micronization. Micronization is the process by which we can increase the surface area, because we are reducing the particle size. Okay. Now, next is the what micronization do? With the help of micronization or with the help of particle size reduction, the formulator or the inventor is able to decrease the dose of certain drug. Okay. The formulator is able to decrease the dose of the certain drugs because of the increase in the absorption efficiency. Okay. Because when we decrease the particle size, the particle will be exposed to the dissolution medium, they will be in more contact with the dissolution medium and the higher will be the dissolution rate. Okay. So, as I have told you in the previous lecture, whenever a dosage form is administered, the first step is, whether it is a tablet or it is a capsule, the first step is the disintegration. After that, deaggregation takes place. Okay. And the drug particle will be converted into the finer particles. After conversion into the final into the fine particles, the drug particles will be dissolved in the dissolution medium. So, if particle size is reduced, the particles can be easily dissolved in the dissolution medium or the dissolution rate will be more. Okay. So, this is the effect of particle size and effective surface area. So, by decreasing the particle size or with the help of micronization, we can increase the surface area, and if surface area is larger, the dissolution rate will be higher. Okay. The next parameter is the polymorphism and amorphism. Now, depending on the internal structure of the compound, a drug substance can exist in more than one crystalline form. It can exist in crystalline form or it can exist in the amorphous form. Okay. So, internal structure of compound the drug is can be in crystalline form or it can be in amorphous form. Okay. So, these crystalline in this there is also categorization. One is the polymorph, and second one is the molecular adducts. Okay. These molecular adducts are also of two types. One is the non-stoichiometric and second one is the stoichiometric complex. Stoichiometric adducts and non-stoichiometric adducts. Okay. These stoichiometric adducts are also known as the pseudopolymorph. And these pseudopolymorph are further of two types. One is the hydrate and second one is the solvates. Okay. And these polymorph are of two types. One is the enantiotropic polymorph and second one is the monotropic polymorph. Okay. So, depending on the internal structure of the compound, a substance can exist in more than one crystalline form, and if there is a drug substance that is existing in more than one crystalline form, then that different forms we can call them as the polymorph, and the phenomena is known as the polymorphism. Okay. So, this polymorphism is of two types. One is the enantiotropic polymorph and second one is the monotropic polymorph. Now, what do you mean by enantiotropic polymorph? The enantiotropic polymorphs are the drug substances which can be their form can be changed or their state can be changed by altering the different conditions. Okay. By changing the temperature and pressure conditions, one form can be converted into the another form. So, that polymorph are called as the enantiotropic polymorph, and the example of enantiotropic polymorph is sulfur. Now, second type of polymorph is the monotropic polymorph. Okay. These are the types of substances which are unstable at all the conditions. An example of monotropic polymorph is the glyceryl stearate. Okay. Now, as I have told you, there are drug substance can exist in more than one form. Okay. It can be stable form or there can be a metastable form. Now, what do you mean by metastable form? See, the substances out of these several polymorphic forms, one state or one form can be stable as compared to the other one. Okay. And the polymorphic form that is more stable or a stable polymorph is having the lower energy state and the highest melting point and the least aqueous solubility. Okay. As compared to this stable one, the metastable polymorph is having lower melting point and highest energy state and also the higher aqueous solubility. So, as the metastable form is having the higher aqueous solubility, so dissolution of metastable polymorph will be more as compared to the stable polymorph. Okay. And when we talk about the amorphous form are what? That are having no crystalline lattice. Okay. So, these amorphous form also represents the higher energy state, and they are also having the more aqueous solubility. So, when we compare different polymorphic form or when we compare the dissolution of these substances, these forms, then the maximum dissolution we will get in case of amorphous form, after that it metastable form, and after that stable form. Okay. The amorphous form will be more will be showing more dissolution as compared to the metastable one, and metastable is showing more dissolution as compared to the stable one. Okay. And because of this, metastable polymorphs are preferred in case of formulation. Okay. Now, next parameter is the pseudo polymorphism. Okay. So, as I have told you in the previous slide that the molecular adducts are of two types. One is the stoichiometric adduct and second one is the non-stoichiometric adducts. Okay. So, the stoichiometric type of adducts where the solvent molecule is incorporated in the crystal lattice of solid is called as the solvates. And if this solvent or the trapped solvent is water, then this form will be called as the hydrates. Okay. And these solvates can exist in different forms, and that form will be called as the pseudo polymorph, and the phenomena is called as the pseudo polymorphism. Okay. Next is the salt form of the drug. What do you mean by salt form? Okay. Now, as all we know that most of the drugs are the weak acid and weak base. So, at a given pH, the solubility of the drug, whether it is acidic in nature or it is basic in nature or it is in the salt form, the solubility will be constant at a given pH. Okay. So, one of the easiest approach to increase the solubility or dissolution rate for such drugs, what type of drug? Weak acidic and weak basic drug. Okay. If we want to increase the solubility and the dissolution rate of these type of drug or weak acidic or weak basic drug, then the easiest approach will be to convert them into their salt form. Okay. Now, how we can convert them into their salt form? Weak acidic drug will combine with the strong base and that will be converted into a salt form, and weak base will be combined with a strong acid, and then also the salt form will be produced. Okay. And this salt form is having the better dissolution and solubility profile as compared to the weak acidic and weak basic drug. Okay. So, at a given pH, the solubility of the drug, whether it exists in the acidic form or it exists in the basic form or it exists in a salt form, the solubility will be constant. Okay. And in case of salts of weak acid, the hydrogen ion concentration of diffusion layer is less than as compared to the hydrogen ion concentration of bulk of the solution. Okay. And in case of weak bases, the hydrogen ion concentration of diffusion layer is more as compared to the hydrogen ion concentration of the bulk of the solution. Okay. So, to increase the solubility and dissolution rate, we can convert our drug weak acidic or weak basic drug into their salt form, and the dissolution rate can be increased. Okay. And if the drug is having the better solubility and dissolution profile, it will be easily get absorbed across the GIT. Now, next is the pH partition hypothesis. Now, what do you mean by pH partition hypothesis? This hypothesis was proposed by Brody et al. Okay. This pH partition hypothesis was proposed by the scientist named Brody et al. And what he told, the pH partition hypothesis explains the process of absorption of drug substance across the GIT and its distribution across all the biological membrane. Okay. This pH partition hypothesis was proposed by Brody et al. And this hypothesis explained the mechanism or the absorption pattern of the drug across the GIT as well as the distribution of the drug across all the biological membranes. Okay. So, this theory states that the drug compounds of molecular weight greater than 100, the drug compounds which are having the molecular weight greater than 100 and which are primarily transported across the biomembrane by passive diffusion, the process of absorption is dependent upon three factors. The first is the dissociation constant of the drug. The second is the lipid solubility of the unionized drug, and third is the pH at the absorption site. Okay. The theory states that the drug compound of molecular weight that are having the molecular weight greater than 100 and that are transported by the passive diffusion process, in case of that substances, the absorption process will depend upon three different parameters, and the parameters will be, first is the dissociation constant, second is the lipid solubility, and third is the pH at the absorption site. Okay. Now, as all we know that most of the drugs are weak acidic and weak bases. So, their degree of ionization will depend upon the pH of the biological fluid. Okay. And if the pH on either side of the membrane is different, then the compartment whose pH favors the greater ionization will contain the larger amount of the drug. Okay. If the pH, if suppose this is the biological membrane, this is the biological membrane, this is the side A and this is B. Okay. The pH on these two sides are different. Okay. In that case, what will happen at pH, at a given at which pH the drug substance or drug will get more ionized, that compartment will contain the more amount of drug. Suppose in A compartment, in the A compartment, this is the pH at which our drug is in more ionized form, then this compartment will contain larger amount of the drug. Okay. And the unionized drug, the drug that is in the unionized form, that will get transported across this biological membrane. Okay. The drug which is in ionized form cannot cross the biological membrane, only unionized drug that is having the proper lipid solubility can easily cross this biological membrane or can permeate through this membrane until the equilibrium is reached. Okay. Now, this statement, what statement? That only the unionized drug can permeate across the membrane, and the pH which favors the greater ionization of the drug, that respective compartment will contain the higher amount of the ionized drug. This statement or this hypothesis is based on the three assumptions. Now, what are these three assumptions? The first assumption is the GIT is a simple lipoidal barrier for the transport of the drugs. The first assumption is that our GIT, gastrointestinal tract, is a simple lipoidal barrier. First assumption is GIT is a lipoidal barrier. Okay. The second assumption is larger the fraction of unionized drug, faster will be the absorption. Larger fraction of unionized drug, faster will be the absorption. Okay. And the third assumption is greater the lipophilicity of the unionized drug, better will be the absorption. Okay. So, this statement is based on the three assumptions. First assumption is GIT is a lipoidal barrier. Second assumption is larger the fraction of unionized drug, faster will be the absorption, and third assumption is greater the lipophilicity, better will be the absorption. Okay. So, the amount of drug that exists in the unionized form is the function of the dissociation constant. Okay. We can estimate how much drug is in ionized form and how much drug is in unionized form by Henderson-Hasselbalch equation. Okay. In case of weak acid, the Henderson-Hasselbalch equation is this: pH is equal to pKa plus logarithm of concentration of ionized drug divided by concentration of unionized drug. In case of weak bases, pH is equal to pKa plus logarithm of concentration of unionized drug divided by concentration of ionized drug. This is the first parameter of the pH partition hypothesis, that is the drug pKa and the gastrointestinal pH. Okay. Now, second is the lipophilicity and the drug absorption. Now, as the pH partition hypothesis states that only the unionized form of drug can permeate across the biological membrane. Okay, only the unionized form can cross the biological membrane. Okay. But sometimes it has been found that ionized drug can also cross the biological membrane. Why it is so? This is because the ionized drug is having higher lipid solubility. Okay. So, if for the optimum absorption, ideally for the optimum absorption, a drug substance should have sufficient aqueous solubility as well as the lipophilicity. Okay. If the substance is having the sufficient aqueous solubility, then it will be get easily dissolve in the at the absorption site, and if it is having sufficient lipophilicity, it will get partitioned across the lipoidal membrane. Okay. So, the drug should have the perfect hydrophilic lipophilic balance for the optimum bioavailability. Okay. So, these now, so the drug should be having the proper lipophilicity and drug must be in the unionized form, only then that drug can cross the biological membrane. Okay. But this pH partition hypothesis is having some drawbacks or some limitations. Okay. The first limitation of pH partition hypothesis is presence of virtual membrane pH. Second assumption is absorption of ionized drug. Third is the influence of GI surface area and residence time of drug. and fourth one is presence of aqueous unstirred diffusion layer. Now, first assumption is presence of virtual membrane pH. See, this pH partition hypothesis suggests that only the unionized drug at a given pH is absorbed. Okay. So, when we plot a graph between the rate of drug absorption, when we plot a graph between rate of drug absorption and pH, then we will obtain a S-shaped curve. Then we will obtain S-shaped curve. Okay, this is the S-shaped curve that we will obtain. But when practically implemented, this S-shaped curve will not be resulted. Okay. In case of the weak acidic drug, this S-shaped curve will be shifted towards the right side, and in case of basic drug, it will be shifted to the left hand side. Okay. So, after that shifting, what we will obtain? We will obtain like this. This is for the basic and this is for the acidic. Okay. In case of acidic drug, it is shifting like towards the right, and in case of basic drug it is shifting towards the left side. Okay. So, this is called as the this is called as the virtual pH membrane or virtual membrane pH or the microclimate pH. Okay. Next is the absorption of ionized drug. See, the pH partition hypothesis is suggesting that only the unionized drug substance or the drug molecule that is in the unionized form can cross the biological membrane, but it does not happen. Sometimes ionized drug that is having the sufficient lipophilicity can also cross the GI barrier and get absorbed. Okay. And the transport process that is involved for the transport of ionized drug will be the active transport or the ion pair transport or the convective flow. Okay. The third limitation is influence of GI surface area and the residence time of the drug. Okay. So, the surface area of gastrointestinal is also having the impact on the drug absorption. Okay. And last is the presence of aqueous unstirred diffusion layer, means when the drug has to transport across the biological membrane, then it has to pass, this is the biological membrane and the drug has to be partitioned across this. But sometimes a aqueous unstirred layer is also present and drug has to get partitioned across it before getting crossed through the biological membrane. Okay. So, these are the limitations of the pH partition hypothesis. Okay. Next parameter is the drug stability. Sometimes when a formulation is prepared, that formulation is having the degradation problem. Okay. So, there are two major stability related problems. Because of these problems, the poor bioavailability can be resulted, and the reasons are, first is the degradation of the drug into the inactive form, and second one is the interaction with one or more of the different component. Okay. So, these are the two stability related problem that can result in the poor bioavailability. Okay. So, this is all about the physicochemical properties of the drug substances that can affect the drug absorption and ultimately the bioavailability. Okay. Thank you.